Okay, Marcus, while you're all riled up, I'm going to ask you something now, just to get a little bit extra riled up. What should test ready really look like on a commissioning job? Like they're going, hey, Marcus, come on in, we're ready. What should that really look like?
Wait, so is this you're ready on the third try, fifth try? Because this sure as hell not going to work on the first try. Like I literally, I get on jobs right now. It's kind of funny. The first day I joke around. I'm like, all right, so $100, $100 says I'll find an issue in the first 10 minutes. Like, no. We're ready, Marcus. I'm like, you want to make a bet? Stake?
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. So test ready, operational readiness. I mean, whatever you want to call it. Like, so by the time that we actually get to a date that we've put on a calendar months in advance, and we're working with everybody to make sure that, everything's checked off. So for the world out there who's listening to this, okay, and controls. So when commissioning comes out there and we're going to basically test a functional performance test that we've actually given a script that you've actually reviewed, you're okay with, it means that you've actually not only programmed it correctly, right? It's actually working. It's trending. Hopefully it's burned in, right, for a couple days or a week. So you actually don't have burps every 3 days. Okay. So you actually can see it working, right?
Yeah.
Working according to the intent without actually having it shut down every 2 hours. So then the interesting part is that means you've actually tested all your controllers. You've tested all the different controllers, right? Those are the things that actually control things. Okay. Yeah. So you've done the point to points, which is fine. You've done all the, voltage, amperage. This is all old news. This is startup stuff. You've actually stroked every damper. You've actually tested the linkages. You've actually made sure that they're actually working. You've actually been out there in the field and you're like, hey, my equipment that's basically plugged into their equipment is actually running their equipment that actually is controlling downstream to control the environment. That means that everything has been checked out. It's been verified. It's been alarmed. Everything that's been monitored, it's been failed. It's been simulated on your side to show us that it is test ready and operational. Because if we show up out there and all we're doing is basically troubleshooting all over again, we're charging you for that visit and someone's going to pay for it because you've now basically taken the time of all of us. All of us have a very busy schedule. We're all booked a month in advance in this industry right now. This is so important because there has to be some accountability because you don't want to say, what, you've been lying to us? But it worked yesterday. You don't want to say liar, but you're actually saying that in your head. You know what I mean? Because here's a big thing. I know, right? Here's a big word. Transparency. Yeah. Okay. So just be transparent. Tab, write your issues down. Don't fat finger it. Don't basically come in there at it's 10.0. Yeah. Really? You know what I mean? Tell us what's going on. Let's talk about it. Because remember, everybody who's watching this, an issue is good. An issue is never bad. An issue is lessons learned. An issue is wonderful because then we can correct it, right? And we can make it next, move on. You know how wonderful it is to basically have a big system because systems are actually really simple. It's just pumps, air, moving water, controlling it, right? Check it off. We did this. We solved that. You know how wonderful it is to actually have a team of people who are actually on the same page and we're all there for the same goal. Just be transparent. And that's the word that equates test ready. Transparency.
Yeah, that's also honesty, right? So what you're talking about here is actually an issue of definition, right? So it's like you say the word commissioning, 20 people will have 20 different ideas of what that is, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about definitions. For me, what you were talking about there was ready for functional performance testing, right?
Yeah.
So let's just start from there. Functional performance test is a test of the system complete in all modes of operation.
But at the end, remember, this is like the last lap of a horse race or a car. You're like he's going the distance. You know what I mean? Like that song. He's.
So let's game that out, right?
You're about to cross the finish line. Back up a little bit because remember, a functional performance test at the end, you're almost done. When you're almost done, you should be done. And done, right? Not
what
just
you're
done.
Saying is. People are calling you in and expecting you to sprinkle pixie magic dust on them.
Yeah, I ran out of pixie dust a long time ago.
But, let's take functional performance testing, right? So the only thing after that is integrated systems testing. So functional performance testing is the testing of a system, a chilled water system.
Each piece.
In each mode of operation, right?
each piece to make sure that your alarms are there, your failures are there, it's hitting all your set points, it's basically your differentials, your deadbands, each little teeny piece before you basically integrate it together to basically have that. And then the best part is now a full integrated systems test, a pull the plug. That's like all the pieces of the building. Then you're like this, you're like, you're ready to shut the building down. They're like, have you done that yet? They're like, no. I'm like, you haven't shut the whole building down and see if it comes back on yet. You're like,
I've never seen an IST test go through first time ever.
No, it's like, you're all like pop. Everyone's like,
but let's go to, right, you functional performance test in IST. Let's go backwards, right? So functional performance tests. Before that, there's pre-functional testing. So I use pre-functional test sheets. When you sign one in back to me as a contractor, you're telling me you've done everything and it's ready for me to functional performance test.
And everyone signed up. So let's go even further. So pre-functional checklist to me is basically a manufacturer startup list, basically final version. Okay. Yeah. So because remember, that's just energized. I mean, there is no programming. So what I like to do is I like to go back a little bit. I call them like the rough-in startup sheets. I want to know that we're padded. We got conduits, we got pipe, you know what I mean? I field observation visits, very important. Go out there. Oh, by the way, pictures. Remember, so here's the best part. Anybody who knows me, who's worked with me, first thing I'm like, did you document that? So you took it off the wall, you fixed it. Did you take a picture? Did you timestamp it? No. I'm like, do I believe you? You know, trust but verify.
But just if you take one thing away from this, anyone who's listening, is for functional performance testing to go ahead, everything's been tested, the balancing's done, the controls guys checked all their stuff, it's ready for testing in all modes. So then before that, it's pre-functional. Before that is what you were just talking about there, is what I call startup static installations tests, right?
Yeah.
So I differentiate and call out in my commissioning plans, which are awesome, by the way, right?
Oh, yeah, I know.
I define static completion, which is the completion installation before power up. Then there's static completion tests, there's installation tests, there's pre-startup tests, there's pre-functional tests, functional performance. They've all got to be defined.
Just hold on, let me bring this up, because this is an interesting part where you'll have people that'll so when you get into the heat of the moment with the building, right, you'll have some owners or some other people or some consultants, they'll literally yell at the commissioning people going, you have to make the contractors hit the schedule. You got to make sure that they're doing this. Why aren't you? What? No, I work with them to make sure that we're hitting the schedule. How am I, the most powerless person on this job, right, am going to force someone who doesn't work for me to get something done? I mean, everybody in commissioning who's watching this knows that you got to make the contractor move faster. Oh, you are so, I'm on it right now. No, it just doesn't work that way. We work together.
So I explained commissioning to a relative of mine who's not in the business at all. And he said, oh, it's a mugs game. It's responsibility without any authority. Why do you do that? I tell owners all the time, I'm like, you know what? I am only as powerful as you back me up. Correct.
I'm like, the day that you stop backing me up is like, what am I doing? I'm like, go over here. You got to be backed up. You're an owner's rep. Listen, our job is, and a lot of us take this very passionate. We do our best and we bleed to basically make the project get better with the team. Like you said, herding cats. How do we do it? How do we work together? How do we get people to do what they should be doing for the owner? Because many of us, myself included, and you, we're very passionate people. And I mean, if you get passion and intelligence and you believe in what you're doing, there's nothing you can't do as a team. So
we're going to move on, because this leads on to some great questions about the relationship between the owner and commissioned authority. So we'll say that for next time. But the takeaway from this, anyone listening, is functional performance testing is one of the final tests, and it implies everything is working prior to that test, right? Installation.
When we sign off on it, like, we're literally saying that we've gone through every single area. Like, that car is ready to go off the line and you are going to buy your Corvette.
Yeah, absolutely right.